Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who has a question for you. What does it mean when somebody says, "Oh, these bars hit hard"? I mean, how many times have you heard that when people have been discussing hip-hop music, rap lyrics, just saying, "Oh, the bars hit hard"? I'm going to be discussing the album Coup de Grace by Rome Streetz and Ransom, or by Ransom and Rome Streetz. I forget which order. And I think we can use this album as a way to answer that question. What does it mean for bars to hit hard? I'll tell you what it means for me. It means for me, I have my first class Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. I have a 40-minute commute. So I have a very slow, sloggy, lame commute on my way into the college where I work, which I do not represent. And while I'm driving there, I'm like about 10 minutes away, I'm like, who was it? Some Council of the Gods said in a comment that I should really review this album. And I've seen Council of the Gods comments here or there. Seem to be a pretty good viewer, pretty good auditor of the channel. So I'll just give it a shot. And as I'm driving and I hear these bars, I want to stop my car. I wanted to cancel class, and I'm not exaggerating. These bars hit me so hard. They were delivered so well. The wordplay was so good, but everything was so clear and so hard-hitting and so strong. That's what it means to have bars hit hard. The word hit is interesting. When we look at the title of this album, Coup de Grace, right? You might know what that means or you might not. It is a French term. Coup actually means hit. A funny thing about the French language, they use coup all over the place. Like they call a sunburn a coup de soleil, a strike from the sun, a hit from the sun. The term for heart attack often will have coup in there. A whole bunch of things have, of course, a coup d'etat, but a coup de grace is a very specific thing. It's when you kill something, but when you deliver the final blow, that is actually an act of mercy. That's where that grâce comes from. Coup de grâce. If we compare that with the English word, death blow, we can see the difference between the beauty of the French, strike of grace, versus death blow. And in that title, Coup de Grace, we have a real indication of what's happening in this album. It is violent, it is graceful, and there is a certain tenderness, a certain gracefulness in that violence. Ransom and Rome Streetz, I'm pretty sure that's the order, they have very different voices. And this is an important thing because often whenever there's group rap projects, when there's one or two people, you can't quite tell them apart. Or you can if you know their music really well. But this is, I've heard Rome Streetz on Griselda projects. I've heard Ransom on Griselda projects. These are both people who are flying around in my brain somewhere, but usually following the four letters F-E-A-T with a period after it, right? I know who they are. I know they're New York rappers. I know they're loosely affiliated somehow with the Griselda gang. But I could tell by the end of the first song which was a Ransom verse and which was a Rome Streetz verse. Partly that's just because their voices are so different. Rome Streetz has a lot higher voice than Ransom does, and at the end of the album they actually compare themselves to Ghostface Killah and Raekwon the Chef, which I think is a fair comparison. They're not as good as prime era Ghostface and Ray, but that's okay. Nobody is. But what I like about it is that they don't rely on slang in the same way that Ghost and Ray do. Now, I love the slang of Ghost and Ray, but I find it fascinating to have these rappers who are mostly rapping about street life, about selling crack, about coming up in the music business. But I didn't really need lyric genius. I didn't really need to go by and say, okay, what's a pound of dog food? Okay, what is all these things? It's all very straightforward. Along with that is a small conscious bent to this album. A couple songs, a couple lines here or there rise it above a standard street scene to be something that straddles the line between gangster rap and conscious rap. Or between rap, as I like to define it, rap about having versus rap about being and doing, right? So I think we can all see everything. All in the final song. Now listen, the first 4 songs of this album, they all hit so hard, I almost pulled my car over and canceled class. I'm not exaggerating. And it's a testament to the strength of this general album that my example song for you is not one of those 4 songs. It's the final track, Death Becomes Life, produced by Mayer. I'll include a link to it up there for you to listen to. Have a listen. This is a good example of their hard-hitting bars. Cool, grimy 80s synthesizers. It reminds me a lot of the soundtrack to Scarface. There's a certain lame, cheesy synthesizer sound to the Scarface soundtrack, which I think has really influenced crack hip-hop. Some kind of guitar line going in here. In general, the production on this album is like this. Good, but. Good, but. Good, but. The production has got a good, but. Good, but it's a little bland. I'd say the one thing that takes this album from being what it is to a 5 mics, 10 out of 10, whatever you want to call it, best album of the year, is that the production is always competent. It's never bad. It's never kind of trap. It's never lazy. It's never bad. But in a landscape, this alternative street hip-hop landscape that we live in, with all of the Griselda producers and Griselda affiliates and all the producers that are out there, in general, the beats on this album are not quite that, are not up to the level of the bars. But it doesn't really matter. I think you should listen to it anyways. I think you should buy the damn album because these bars hit so hard. Example. I don't have a script, I have notes. And these notes are like 11 pages because I've written out so many of the bars on here. I don't know if I'm going to be performing them all. Maybe, it is Halloween. Maybe I'll perform one and have a candy corn afterward to reward myself for the hard work. I don't know how much of them I'm going to be reading, but it's a testament to how good the lyrics are here. I was told every soul that's in hell suffers. I'm morbid like a soldier that's headed to war and given his family farewell clutches. Never held punches, never that to sell crutches. Just, morbid like a soldier that's headed to war? He's just sliding that line in there. Every soul in hell suffers. There's a darkness, a real darkness. The opening of the album says, things are about to get dark. And that album cover, it is Halloween. I'm sort of trying to impersonate that because they're wearing all black and their face is half lit. They're also wearing chains. I don't have a gold chain. Surprisingly. I should get a gold chain. What should I have on my gold chain? Like and subscribe, smash the like bucket, and tell me in the comments, what should I have on my gold chain? So, they announced from the no-nonsense cover, from the intro, this is going to be a dark album. And it's dark in this way where it never feels nihilist, but it does feel dark. The end of this amazing verse by Ransom, because your money can buy you watches, but it won't be able to purchase time. Beautiful, concise, accurate. Again, and this album talks a lot about their Porsches and their Ferraris, so okay. But really, it's not really about the having, it really is about the being and the doing. And then immediately, just this 1-2 punch of Ransom and Rome Streetz. The whole album, you're just seeing like, boom, boom, just Ransom, Rome Streetz, Ransom, Rome Streetz. Like, please, Hammer, don't hurt him. You just get tired. Ransom owns the funeral home, but the hearse is mine. The spot I got for you deep in the dirt is fine. Just a great old school throwback, super harsh, dark, gritty line. But then it gets deeper later on that verse. What you after, the cash or the crown? Know the differences. The king's crown turns to a guillotine. That's just how ish is. Okay, the difference between the cash or the crown, money or respect, but that respect in the form of a crown, that crown leads to the guillotine. Of course, we're reminded of the French king and his wife who were decapitated, Louis XVI. Not Louis XIV, as some of my students make a mistake. Louis XIV lived a very long and happy life. So this great image of a crown being turned into a guillotine. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what makes bars hit hard? The cadence, the way that he delivers is just super strong. That little kind of higher register. He knows how, all the things that rappers should know how to do that a lot of rappers don't know how to do, like manipulate syllables and create a rhythm with their words. They're all doing with great competence. But then mixed in are these lines which every rapper talks about being a king. But what are you after, the cash or the crown? Know the differences? The king's crown turns to a guillotine. That's just how ish is. Beautiful. They both have lines in this song which hints at a sort of larger theme, more of a question of how did they get there. Ransom blames his father. Blame my father. He wasn't involved with Rand. Delay me and my mama's plans. But he put this paintbrush inside the artist's hands, talking about his struggles and his pain and what made him such a great artist. Although it is the motto of this channel to say, whether I'm saying it to Ransom the rapper or Lana Del Rey the singer, you don't need to hurt to be a good artist. Heal your hurt and you'll still be a good artist. In a similar way, in a similar line, we have Rome Streetz in that same song. Got it by any means. I felt that my options were limited. I popped it off because you won't prosper being a timid kid. Not having my pops around had an effect on the things I did. So very conscious of what they're doing, societal, lack of options, all kind of wrapped up in one bow with a good beat and these just great, great bars. Do you like candy corn? I like candy corn. I actually love candy corn. And a lot of people are split on it, but I do. I'm not going to go through the rest of the album while regretting eating candy corn on screen. And I'm going to start off with those first 4 tracks. I'm telling you, these first 4 tracks, they could be an EP. If these first 4 tracks were an EP, oh my God, I'd just be like, this is the greatest EP that's come out this year. Starts off with No Remorse, kind of cinematic production, really nice space to the production here. This is one of the highlights production-wise. The beat has a slight change at the end. Just great clear lines from Ransom. When I got involved with the dope, almost lost my hope until I saw the growth, and now I'm drunk trying to park the boat. The sharpest quotes done turn to this black sheep into the darkest goat. Just wonderful play. You know, everyone sings about the goat, but the black sheep into the darkest goat. Next song, All I Know, maybe my favorite song on the album. This was the one that made me consider canceling class. They would have loved it. I was going over direct object pronouns. No one likes learning those. Just a really nice, almost like, it reminds me a lot of Tears. You know, After Laughter Come Tears by Wu-Tang. There's kind of a flange on this beat. But the whole thing has this great chorus done by Rome Streetz. All I know is cop and flip, and he's talking about the passage from being a drug dealer to being a song dealer. But then Ransom just has this whole line, just this whole. I'm looking at look at this. All these lines that I have here to say. I don't know if I'm going to say them all, but they're just so good. They just hit so hard. All right, I'm going to save that goodwill of you wanting to hear me give you some lines for the next song, Rooftop Sermons. This is the most consciously conscious song. It's very clearly not just about their life, but about the conditions that they were raised in and about the systematic racism that created those systems. Mama couldn't pay, so they told her, pray for the Lord's assistance. They rid our souls, so we bought some Christians. Louis Vuitton, who's LeBron? Shut up, dribble, we lost resistance. My words, a beacon through the darkest distance. Converse with heathens till they get lost in the systems. Leave the village till the forces listen, torches glisten. A Marcus Garvey with a heartless army. Malcolm by the curtains, you a carbon copy. Undisturbing, hard to stop me. Conform to life is what we always do. It's hard to accept the damage a war will do. Now they wipe in the floor with you. So much in here. The references obviously to Marcus Garvey with a heartless army. Just, I like to do this sometimes. If you're alone, I'll give you a second. I'm going to Dora the Explorer it. I'm going to say for you to say something. And while you're home, while no one's around, I want you to say these words with me so you understand the strength and the rhythm and the beauty of these words together. Okay? Can you say Marcus Garvey with a heartless army? Good. A beautiful line. And obviously it's meaningful. Then leads into Malcolm by the curtains, the image of Malcolm X looking out the curtains at the FBI and the people who are watching him. And this whole image is of the way he puts himself up, you a carbon copy. Like carbon copy is rhyming off of Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey, carbon copy, heartless army, undisturbing, hard to stop me, and then goes into this line, conform to life is what we always do. Conform to life. This is the situation that we're put in. This is the position not just of people growing up in the American ghetto. This is the position of everybody in society. You have to conform to life. And it's just kind of dropped in there. This oddly deep concept. It goes beyond all constraints to any human being living in a society, right? As Jean-Jacques Rousseau once said, man is born free, but yet everywhere he is in chains. Right here, we have this concept, conform to life is what we always do. And then he ends this verse with a line that was so good, I kept playing it for my family over and over again until they asked me to stop. Yeah, the way I'm thinking astound you. I'm saying what I want, you just saying what you're allowed to. You claim to be married to the game. Who these lames saying they vouch to? No, that's not what they say. Saying their vows to. I'm sorry, it was wrong on Lyric Genius. You claim you married to the game. Who these lames saying their vows to? Can't change the people around you. You change the people around you. That's a drop the mic moment right there. I'm gonna have to pick that up after the video. That's right. Can't change the people around you. You just change the people around you. I mean, okay, obviously, Jay-Z is famous for his line, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. But this is even better. You can't change the people around you, you just change the people around you. This is good advice. I tell this to my kids, right? You can't change your friends who are lame and trying to do bad stuff, so change your friends. Don't change your friends, change your friends. And then the whole chorus has this red top, blue top kind of standard crack verse, but in the context of these greater social themes they're talking about and civil rights and this situation that we're put in, it's clear that they're not just like flossing and saying they're great crack dealers. They're really talking about this difficulty of their situation. And there's this line from Rome Streetz, out of sight, out of mind, quickly how they forget you. It was fake love, for real, only the 38 is special. Just another clever, good turn of phrase. Now those are the first 3 tracks. Already we're just blown away. And then they drop Claudine with Chez Noir. I've reviewed one of her albums before. She's quite good as well. Great kind of grimy beat. But this is a thing. Full confession, I don't love story songs. I love Slick Rick. I love Nas, despite the fact that I have said things that have made Nas fans upset. I love Nas. I love Slick Rick. I love Notorious B.I.G. I love all the great storytelling rappers, right? In general, the stories don't grab me because they usually boil down to the same kind of like, I did some crime and here it is. This is maybe the deepest of the story songs because it is 2 men talking about two men talking about a woman, and that woman herself speaking in the song. And it's also a meditation on the way that the crack trade or the drug trade hurts people. The way that hurt people in the crack trade. So it's all about these 2 dealers and this one woman, and how the one woman used to buy from one of the dealers, and then she has an idea to rob that dealer with the help of the other. But it turns out they're friends, and so they kill her. How they kill her is quite interesting. I'm going to get into it in a second. It opens up with a beautiful description of her, of Claudine, that all rhymes with Claudine. When she was 14, she worked on them corners where they made whores scream. For more cream, she worked at Walgreens and kept the store clean. Just a great run there. Eventually, we have Rome Streetz talking about her situation as well, doing a play on Cash Rules Everything Around Me from the Wu-Tang, Cream, Get the Money. He says, dollars rule everything around me, but the dope will surely bring your dreams to life or a nightmare in Claudine's case. So how this money-driven system, which is exemplified by the drug trade, is actually a nightmare. Turned all her fine features into a effed fiend's face. That ish is crazy. Seen her go from college student to prostitution. College student prostitution. College student prostitution. Beautifully done. Her life is effed up now. No one's got solutions. Half of me wish she would stop the using, but the monkey on her back brings me scratch, so I can't refuse it. The monkey on her back brings me scratch. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you see how Rome Streetz and Ransom are sort of top-level rhymers here? And they're I don't know if they're flying under the radar, because I'm sure most of the people watching this are going to be underground rap fans, and they're going to tell me, Skye, we've known about Rome Streetz for the past 8 years, and where you've been sleeping. I've been sleeping in my bed in suburban America, not paying a ton of attention to hip-hop up until 2018. That's where I've been sleeping. So as far as I'm concerned, these guys are totally under the radar because these things are great. And then Shay's verse is quite good as well. Shay Noir, who actually represents what she's doing. And what we learn throughout the song is the method of murder. The method of murder isn't going to be shooting her, tying her up, drowning her, beating her to death. It's going to be intentionally putting fentanyl into her drugs that they sell her. So I talk a lot. I don't want to talk a lot, but I end up talking a lot on this channel about the scourge of fentanyl on the streets. It's more and more important in real life, therefore it's going to be more reflected in our culture, not just when we talk about Mac Miller. So what just a grim and grimy and calculated and terrible and meaningful way to talk about this murder. And at the end, they're going off to the court side at the garden, going to enjoy it, watching some game. Who knows what? I'm going to guess the Knicks. Maybe they're Rangers fans. I don't know. You tell me. Are Ransom and Rome Streetz fans of the New York Rangers? Maybe they are. Or maybe New York Liberty. That's the WNBA team. They also play at the Madison Square Garden. Hey, Skye, why don't you get back on topic? Let me tell you why I'm not fully on topic right now. Because I hate to tell you what I'm going to tell you now, which is after these first 4 songs, things don't quite keep up that pace. They're good, but I'm going to go a lot quicker through them. There's an interlude, which is fine, like a little soul sample, that's Farewells. Pray for the Weak has a cool thing, like the chorus is really strong here, a good guitar and string loop, but the chorus is, I pray for the weak and you can become my prey for the weak. The Game makes an appearance, which is quite nice. He has one of my favorite lines on the album, even though the song itself I don't find to be that interesting. I wish you well while I wish you would. You know, like I wish you well, but at the same time I also want to fight you. Jet Fuel is another one of these simple beat songs. And I was listening to this album again this morning, so I've listened to it all weekend. Love it, love it, love it, right? And this is what I need to tell you about these songs that I tell you aren't as good as the first 4. A standout song on any other album is just any other song on this album, because the whole album stands out so much with how the bars are. So I could, if I had chosen, made this song my stamp and given you examples, because at no point do Ransom and Rome Streetz ever go below a 9 out of 10 in their rapping. Silent Murderers has another great, amazing Rome verse. I like how you can actually make out what the person is singing in the sample. Dark Love has maybe the best flow from Rome Streetz here. Just the way that he has all these. Here, I'll read off some of it and then I'll break it down. Feel like I was made for the mic, like old Pippin passes. So referring to Mike Jordan versus a microphone, passes from Pippin. Had to go through life, learned my lessons, though the ish was savage. Every skeleton in my closet, I got picks to match it. Blood bottom kicks and ratchets, low jackets with the patches. You out there with a different fabric, it's plastic. My old A raps is pissing over your last ish and your new ish too. Just this great rhythm and speed and grace. It really is. This really is a coup de grace. It is a graceful strike, every single thing they do here. He also says he wishes he used all of his smarts in college. And as a college professor, I wish that too. I think we need to do a better job in small public liberal arts colleges to reaching out to people who are very smart but don't have great grades. We are currently doing that more than we used to in the past. But I have no doubt that whatever human being wrote these verses this well would have had no problem graduating from my institution, which I do not represent, but where I teach. And then Ransom comes right in, just right in on top, talking about can't explain my rhythm. And then he creates this whole, God damn it. Okay, I take it back. Remember when I said that this part of the album was like sort of maybe not as good? I take that all back. I take it all back because actually now I remember this. And he has this whole thing where it ends a whole series of lines with rhythms. Just the word rhythm, because he starts off like starting too soon, drawing your attention to the rhythm that's happening. And if this came to attrition, I blow your brains out with the smithin'. They'll find your frame when they're fishing. I'm insane with these writtens. My ish remains a religion. Whether you were raised a Christian, Baptist, or atheist living, I'm not a slave to your fiction. I've seen the marks of the beast while walking the darkest of streets. That's why I don't talk to the police, because power's a painless addiction. How much? Okay? How much? I don't have time. 25 minutes already I'm talking about this album. I don't have time to describe to you how good this verse is. Just take my words for it. Attrition and smithin', like Smith and Wesson, like Smith and Wesson. Smithin' becomes attrition, and then fishin' and written and Christian. This whole thing, this whole image of like these beasts, this multi-religion view, and then talking about these beasts, and then talking about the police. And the problem with the police is that power is a painless addiction. Painless is an addiction. I agree. I understand that. I don't have much power in my life, but when I have power, I like it. I could see being addicted to power. I do understand that the primary issue with police violence and police malfeasance is often tied into their power. Painless? Did he say painless addiction? Did this guy say painless addiction? Is that how we're going to define power now? Something that you're addicted to that you don't feel the pain? It doesn't hurt you? That's why you don't mess with the police, because power is a painless addiction? Write this. Chisel this on a rock, okay, and put it on a building. This is one of the greatest lines I've heard all year, and it's just kind of thrown in here in this whole run with rhythm. Okay, it's a really good album. Okay, Bandoleros is the next song, produced by Nicholas Craven. Listen, I can't help it. I like good production, and this is definitely the best production on the album. He's cutting up what sounds like some 70s French song, maybe French-Canadian songs. I believe he's Canadian. I can't quite tell. It's chopped up so much that the words don't quite work. It's a beautiful atmosphere, and it has this guest from Lou from Paradise and Tyrant. And what's beautiful about the way this is done is that Lou from Paradise kind of sounds like one of them, and Tyrant kind of sounds like the other, and then Ransom and Rome Streetz are in the middle. But each verse, if you pay attention, is linked one to the next. There's something in one verse that then is connect thematically or directly in the next verse. And even from song to song, we feel that a little bit as well, where there's these little words that kind of pop up and these themes that pop up and dry. I feel like you could do a whole kind of string together like a braid with a lot of the themes and words in this album. As an example, in this, I believe every verse makes some reference to police photos and the way to use police photos. And then we have the stamp, the last song on the album, Death Becomes Life. So there's my review. I hope I have successfully defined for you what it means when I say that bars hit hard. Because those bars hit hard. Harder than the candy corn hit my teeth. I have like a toothache. These people right here, these are my Patreons. So if you go to patreon.com/Professor Skye, you can give me money. Here's the thing though, I don't keep the money. I just buy music with it. That's all I've ever done. That's all I ever will do. And I've now got 25 Patreons. It's the most I've ever had. It's awesome. You see, I had to draw some people on there. Sorry to Nathaniel Barnhurst. I had a hard time writing your name and fitting it in there. But you're on there. Thank you very much to all these people. I really appreciate the support. It's also good, I put extra videos on there. I just put a video on there about the Monster Mash, if you want my thoughts about that. Spoiler, I have a lot of thoughts about the Monster Mash. And there you go. I don't even know what I'm going to review. Here's the funny thing. Normally my weekend show is like my big show where I try to have the biggest review for the biggest audience. But these bars hit so hard that I said, I'm not going to try to like Ed Sheeran to make a video about Ed Sheeran. I can't help it. It's not my fault this music's so good. All right, until next time, trick or treat, and there's the camera.